Let's bring in the former New York City Police Commissioner, Bernie Kerik, now CEO of the Kerik Group. Bernie, we welcome you back to America's Forum. And in the fullness of time, from the campaign to become mayor right on through last week, have Mayor de Blasio's words and deeds been anti-police?
Well, I think they have. He basically used his son to say that his son faced certain danger in any kind of confrontation with the police. The racial rhetoric, the anti-police rhetoric over the past 6 to 8 weeks did nothing but stir an enormous amount of controversy and, incited the protestors who were not so peaceful, who incited other people to attack cops. So this is what we've seen for the last 6 to 8 weeks. I'm not sure what happened in the meeting yesterday. The union leaders didn't look too happy, didn't make a statement that is too, that appeared to look like nothing really was resolved. Hopefully, yesterday's meeting was the beginning to the end of this rift, because the rift, it really helps no one. It hurts the city, it hurts the NYPD, hurts the communities that the cops are out there protecting. They have to get this thing resolved.
Well, we've had so many different circumstances, and New York is truly the city that never sleeps, most especially tonight with New Year's Eve. Now, there have been threats of protests to go along with the celebrations in Times Square and elsewhere. What should the approach of current Police Commissioner Bratton and the NYPD be to what might be confronted tonight?
Well, tonight is really the biggest gathering of people anywhere in this country. You're going to have between 500,000 and 2 million people on the streets of New York City that run between 34th and 57th Street and 6th to 8th Avenue. The areas around Times Square from 6th to 8th Avenue will be a frozen zone. You're going to have more than, I think the detail when I was the police commissioner was in excess of 3,000 cops that secure that area. Tonight's going to be, an exciting night, but for the NYPD, it's also it's an important night because of terror threats, because, anything that incites internally within that crowd could cause a problem, cause a stampede. You don't want those things. So if the protesters are out there and they think they're going to do something tonight within that crowd, I think the NYPD is going to be extremely aggressive in taking them out of there, because they can cause an enormous amount of problem. And they can cause physical damage as well. So tonight is not the night for them to be out there creating havoc, because it could be a problem.
And you take the announcement from these protesters that they're planning major disruptions, you take them at their word. So the NYPD absolutely has to be prepared and really make it a no-tolerance zone in terms of protests, just for crowd control. We have about a minute remaining.
Well, anytime they've said they're going to be out there doing something in the past, they've pretty much done it. So if I'm the NYPD, I'd be looking at it just like any other night. The problem is you have these frozen zones. You have counterterrorism activities going on by the PD. You have serious internal security concerns. So the police department has to take extremely aggressive actions against anyone that's going to stir any problems within that crowd. That crowd starts to move, somebody starts to incite. So, it could be a real headache, and it could cause physical damage. Somebody can get hurt really seriously.
And that's the one thing we do not want to see, Bernie. Listen, we're going to continue the conversation on the other side of the break, because it is such a big gathering and is such a big story. Want to get more of your thoughts on New Year's Eve in New York. Worth noting that we will continue the conversation with Bernie Kerik coming up here on America's Forum.